Ah, hell. I'm in the wrong game again. Hey guys, Nary here from Jake Wayne Gamers. Some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with another Let's Play episode of Echo, Carl's Path. So guys, let's just go ahead and jump right back into it. Please sit back and enjoy for the next 18 minutes as I entertain you, and let's jump right in. Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Okay. Jenna walks closer, but is sure to keep her distance, her arms still folded. Hey, what's going on? Raven looks around at us, not even bothering to read the room. Did you find something? Carl looks into the stove before slapping the top of the metal stove. Ha! There it is! What? But how? How did you know it was there, Carl? Jenna's voice is deep and husky again. Her expression is dark, her eyes narrowed at Carl. Carl ignores both of us as he reaches into the stove. His head is pressed up against the side of the stove as he strains to get whatever it is. I'm about to ask what it is again when he suddenly pulls back and punches the stove. God damn it! I jump. He suddenly turns around to face us, his eyes briefly resting on Jenna before he turns to me. Hey, I think you're small enough to get in. What? What am I getting? Carl? As if he hasn't heard any of us, he grabs me by the arm and pulls me to the stove. Hey! Don't worry about it. Carl finally responds to Jenna, though he keeps his grip on me as he gets out of the way and positions me in front of the stove. He's just getting something I can't quite reach because I'm fat. He pushes me down to duck toward the opening and points to the back of the stove, upwards to where the chimney is. See that? White piece of paper. I'm barely able to make out a white smudge in the sea of darkness. Yeah. That's alright, take it out of here. He gives me a slight nudge in the back. I normally wouldn't have a problem crawling into an unlit stove, but something about the setting being a haunted cabin makes me nervous. He gives me another nudge, more insistent this time, and I slowly crawl onto the edge of the stove. It's a tight fit, but I am skinny enough to make it. I decide to sit on the ledge of the opening while the rest of my body stretches inside. The smell is smoky and the air is cool. I wonder subconsciously if the chimney might lead up into the outside. I reach up towards the chimney, feeling around the rough and metallic surface before I make contact with a stiff piece of folded paper. I close my fingers around it and pull, getting just a little resistance before it comes loose. At that moment, something caresses my hand. The rough-tipped fingers that almost lovingly run up my wrist and arm. I yelp and jump, banging my head against the roof of the stove. I fall sideways into the ash-filled bottom. I'm on the verge of panic when Carl reaches in and pulls me out, banging my head again as I fall onto the wooden floor. What happened? Are you alright? Something grabbed me. I rub my head with one hand, the other clutching onto the paper. Carl roughly pats my clothes, sending clouds of ash into the air. I cough and sputter, feeling all kinds of grit in my throat. Might have just been imagining it. Who knows what kind of shit is dangling in that chimney? Yeah. I frown at Carl. How did you know where this was? He grins at me. Same way it happened last time. So it is paying off. Ah, well, at least we have someone giving us some direction in this place. Jenna snorts, but I choose to ignore her. I look at the old, yellowed piece of paper in my hands. It's a lot older looking than the photocopied newspaper that had burned up earlier. So, you think that's what's needed to find? That's what we needed to find? Raven asks excitedly, staring at the paper. It is! After a few more hacks, I finally manage to start to get my breathing under control. I make my way over towards the candle for better light. Well, I guess I'll read this out. A hand suddenly grabs up my wrist. Confused, I pull it away instinctively, and that's when someone grabs up the paper, at the same time shoving me back. Jenna! Her face is locked and determined, grabbing my wrist and pulling at the paper with her other hand. I probably would have given her the paper if she'd asked, but this sudden aggression has me automatically resisting. She grabs me and swings me around. We both fall against the bench under the window. Jenna's hand smacks against my nose, bringing tears to my eyes. I yelp as she pulls her fingers in, raking lines of fire down my nose with her claws. There's a pounding in my ears, and I distantly register that the drums have started up again. She twists out from under me and pulls away from the bench. When the fuck did she get this strong? I numbly keep my grip on her wrists and she spins, swinging me away from her. I lose my grip and stumble back, stepping wrong on my foot and rebending my ankle the exact same way as I did last time. I yelp again, much more loudly this time as I crumple to the ground. Carl swears and jumps over me at Jenna. Wait! I try to grab him by the hoof that's passing over me, but I miss miserably. As I sit up, I hear an ungodly, bestial snarling, and I look up to see Carl wrestling and kicking and scratching Jenna to the ground. That's fucking it! He pins her there while she writhes under him, trying to scratch at his face. Stop it, guys! Raven is still standing off to the side, his paws on his head, pulling at his ears. I crawl over to their writhing bodies, one eye wincing shut at as each movement sends a lightning bolt through my leg. I grab at Jenna's hands, forcing them down above her head. Jenna, stop! Jenna suddenly kicks one of her legs up between Carl's legs, and he kneels over her. Oh, fuck! He crumples over on top of Jenna, lying on her legs as he tries to pin his thighs together. Yeah, I can't say that. Not on YouTube. Carl rears back and punches at her face, landing a glancing blow, but it's enough to snap her face to the side. Stop! I force myself between the two of them, shoving Carl's chest while straddling Jenna's neck. It's an awkward position, but I'm trying to protect her and stop her from retaliating at the same time. Stop it! What the hell are you doing? I say it to both of them as Carl tries to reach around me for the paper in Jenna's hand. Jenna snarls up at me, but it's softer this time. Her struggles die down a little, and after holding my gaze for about 10 seconds, she looks away. I notice a little blood collecting at the front of her lips. Seeing the paper held loosely in her hand, I quickly reach out and snatch it back up in case she tries to attack again. She doesn't. Instead, just laying there with her hands above her head, staring at the ceiling. I slowly push off of the fox, taking Carl with me as I do. He's not fighting anymore either, instead taking the paper from me and holding it firmly in his hands while he still glares at Jenna. Raven, still with his fingers twisted around his ear, looks over at me. Yeah? Take Jenna upstairs, take a nap or something. I think we need to keep them separate. Raven's easily able to coax Jenna off the floor and they head upstairs, Jenna looking down at the floor all the while. I scoot over to Carl, holding my breath as each drag sends another spasm through my leg. Only now am I really feeling the pain in my ankle. Carl is busy inspecting the note as if he's worried if it's damaged. She was gonna try to fucking burn it! He holds it up to the candlelight. Like that would be getting back at me earlier. She still thinks I burnt that fucking paper. How do you know that? The way she was looking at the candle right before she came at you. And she's just the kind of person that would do that. He looks at my ankle. You fuck up your ankle again? Yeah. God, what a stupid bitch. Carl? He looks up at me. What? I've never heard you talk like that before. Carl shrugs, unfolding the paper. Well, I've never been attacked like that before. I look closely at his face. It's still Jenna. You hit her pretty hard. She kicked me in the nuts. Well, yeah, but I'm just... Carl doesn't seem very interested at all in what I'm trying to say. She's not herself either. I think the same thing's happening to her. Same thing? Like, what's happening to you? We know Jenna had ancestors in Echo at the very beginning. What if she was being affected by an ancestor just like Carl is? For some reason, deep down, I feel very uneasy about bringing up John in front of this Carl. Even if they were lovers, something's very clearly wrong now. Carl shrugs. She's always been kind of a bitch. I swallow down whatever I'm about to say next. Anyway, I'm gonna read this so we can move the fuck on, alright? Okay. I'm confused and worried. Did I make the wrong decision telling Carl what to do last night? This isn't like him at all. The ram holds up the letter, clearing his throat. My dearest John, I've been hearing terrible things lately. They say that you've been accusing me of the most egregious monstrosities. I dare not believe them. In fact, I will not until I hear your words for myself. There must be some misunderstanding. Has one of my many political enemies pitted you against me? Are they using the missing native boys as a weapon against my campaign? I would not think that to be below them, but what concerns me most is you. Please, visit me in my mansion. We must speak on this. I very much look forward to your company and believe that we can soon set this straight. Yours forever, James. I look up at Carl. He looks back at me. So, what do you think that means? Carl shrugs. John clearly did something terrible to James, right? Well, maybe, but what? It sounds like he tried to frame him for something. Frame him or something. I remember the newspaper clipping that had somehow gone up in flames. Hey, that newspaper article that burned up said something about a Meseta kid that went missing. So John tried to pin missing native boys on James. Maybe. We still don't know if John was doing it anyway. James doesn't seem to know either. I wonder if maybe the James inside of Carl has any idea of what's going on right now. If he does, he's not saying anything. I look at the ram who's in the middle of rereading the letter. You okay? I'm fine. Your balls okay? Carl shrugs again. They're fine. I think about making a joke about making them feel better, but that doesn't really feel appropriate right now. More concerned about Jenna. I think she's becoming more dangerous the longer we're here. Yeah. It seemed that at this point, Jenna isn't really Jenna anymore. We need to have a talk with her about resisting John. Yeah, I mean, James is helping you, right? He's helping me, yeah, but John's not helping her at all. I look in the direction of the door as a loud click emanates from it. Carl's long ears perk and he follows my gaze. We both stare at it for a few seconds. Is it unlocked? Carl gets to his feet and strides confidently over to the door. Careful, I say, a little apprehensive that something might open it from the other side. Carl doesn't say anything as he stands in front of the door. Reaching out, he rests a hand on the handle and gives it a slight push. It shifts open a few inches. Carl looks back at me. Get the others! I'll stand around the door. Carl to my right and Raven to my left. Raven and I making sure there's maximum distance between Jenna and Carl. The door is still shifted open a few inches in the vertical black void it reveals is a little ominous. We just go through? Isn't that what we did last time? Yeah. I feel like the real question is if we really want to go through the door in the first place. Is it just going to lead to another terrible place where terrible things happen? I feel a void similar to the one I'm looking at open up in my chest. The thought of being trapped in a loop, going through door after door that leads to nothing but horror. Already this place was having an effect on Jenna that seems to be getting worse with each passing hour. How much longer can she keep it together? What did the letter say? I tense up. Anything she does now is putting me on edge, like I'm just waiting for her to lash out again. My hand drifts conspiratorially to my pocket where the folded-up letter is. Glance to my right at Carl, but he's got his eyes on the door. A few things, just more history stuff. About what? I decide at that moment that I have to lie. We need to keep Jenna or John calm if we want to get through this. I have a feeling that John wouldn't want to hear about James revealing what I assume are secrets. I didn't read anything about John trying to sabotage James in my research, but maybe that's what James is trying to tell us. So I shrug my shoulders, moving my hand away from my pocket. And stuff about the mine, how there wasn't enough of it to sustain the town. I'm worried Jenna might challenge my life for whatever reason. She doesn't say anything, though, and Carl just keeps on staring straight ahead. Raven suddenly claps his hands together, making me jump. So, we should open it? Raven reaches out. Wait! The husky pauses and looks back at me expectantly, his black ears tipped forward. Should we do this? I mean, it's probably just gonna lead to another place where we have to find another thing. Yeah? So maybe we shouldn't keep going. I stumble over my words, trying to piece together my feelings and put them into sentences as I go. 1 second, guys. Okay. I just think that they're not really on our side, you know? I make an effort not to look at Jenna. So, if they're not, why are we doing what they want us to do? I realize I'm shaking now, and I make an effort to make my hands still. What else should we do? Raven's tone isn't accusatory, but it is genuinely curious. I don't have a very good answer. Well, maybe we can find a way back somehow. Maybe we're still in Carl's house right now. Carl's house. That place seems like it's thousands of miles and years away at this point. Maybe we can, wake ourselves up somehow. Raven doesn't respond, and neither does anyone else. I realize how stupid I must sound. Sorry, I just feel like we're taking things too fast right now. Carl clears his throat. Trust me, we're going somewhere. The ram leaves it at that, and I'm left to wonder if James knows exactly where we're going. If he does, why doesn't Carl tell us now? How in control is he? It's something that I would have to bring up later, since I'm not going to be doing that in front of Jenna. You can stay here if you want, Otter. It takes me a second to realize she's talking to me. Is she really that far gone? I just hope that if we reach the end of this, we can get her back somehow. You would like that, wouldn't you? I cough, clearing my throat as I realize another fight could be about to start up. No, I'll go. I just wanted to think about it for a second. Have you thought about it, then? Yeah. I look at Carl, but he's still staring stoically at the door. Well, if that's all, then let's go. Jenna steps forward to grab the door handle, and I bite my tongue to keep from saying we should wait again. The door swings open to reveal blackness, just like last time. Unlike the last time, though, there's a spot of flickering light in the distance. The fire. Everything's quiet right now, no drum beat, but the darkness is unnatural. It's inky and thick, like it's alive. It's Alan Wake! I get the unnerving feeling that it's trying to eat the light from the fire. Maybe towards the fire. Jenna suddenly steps forward, and just like that, she's swallowed up by the darkness. Jenna, wait! She ignores me. Carl gives his shoulders another shrug. That's all we can see, so I assume that's the right direction to go. I see her form pass in front of the firelight a few times, then she's gone. Alright, here we go. Despite his nervousness, Raven still sounds cheerful about stepping into oblivion. Lean on me! I'm suddenly yanked sideways to lean against the ram's sturdy shoulder. Then we're off, Carl tugging me into the darkness. Stay close! Yeah. We're immersed in blackness. Not only do things go dark visually, but the change is physical, too. I don't know if it's all in my head, but I feel heavier, like the darkness is pushing down on my shoulders. It's colder, too, to the point where I can feel the heat radiating off Carl's body when I brush up against him. Try to move faster. Okay. Despite my best attempts, the going is slow, and not just because of my injured, probably broken ankle. The ground is uneven and rocky, like we're outside walking in the desert, which I realize is exactly what we're doing when we walk straight into what feels like a sagebrush. Carl thrashes around with the hand not holding on to me, and we're able to sort of stumble around it. Where the hell are we? I mutter as I stub my toe painfully on a rock. Outside. Yeah, but where outside? The desert. So, do you think that we're still in Echo? Carl's quiet for a moment. No. I wonder if maybe all the others, TJ, Leo, and Flynn, are out there too, in the darkness. I want to call out, but I'm too nervous that that's going to attract something to us. I still remember the black figure dancing around the fire we were walking towards at this very moment. We're close enough now that I'm starting to be able to make out Carl in the darkness. I look back at the house to see how far we've gone. All that I can make out now are two rectangles of light. One for the door we came out of, and one for the kitchen window. In the latter, a dark figure stands framed by the faint light outside. I squint, not really sure of what I'm seeing. Then it moves, disappearing from the window. I stop walking and Carl stops with me, looking back over his shoulder. What? Did one of the others go back? The black figure appears again, this time in the doorway of the house. I don't even have time to react to that before it steps forward and the door swings shut with a distant snap. Oppressive blackness takes its place. I grab onto Carl more tightly. No, what the hell? My mind flashes back to the black thing I'd seen crawling out of the wardrobe. Come on! I nudge into Carl's side, trying to get him to hurry along while resisting the urge to try and run on my twisted ankle. I'm realizing that it might come to that. Braven! Jenna! I call out into the darkness ahead of us, wanting to warn them. Over our ragged breathing, though, there's dead silence all around us, except for a drum beat. Either they can't hear us, or they can't respond. Carl's gripping onto me with both of his hands, practically hauling me off my feet as he pulls me along. Suddenly, he stops before almost growling at me. Jesus Christ, get on my back! He lets go and crouches down in front of me. Even with everything going on, I'm a bit hurt by his tone, like I'm the main problem right now. I'm there before he even finishes his sentence, and soon my face is bouncing off his hard skull as he starts sprinting towards the fire. Whether it's in my head or not, I swear I can hear a slithering sound behind me, like a snake sliding over dry leaves. I shiver, not wanting to look back, but I do anyway, trying to peer into the darkness. Of course I can't see anything, but I swear something flashes in front of the lone rectangle of light coming from the cabin's kitchen window. The rustling sounds get louder, and now I can't pretend that I'm imagining it. It casts a picture into my mind. That black shadow creature contorting and bending through the sagebrush that Carl was having so much trouble moving through. I hold on to one of his horns, and he leans towards his ear. Carl, it's getting close! And then my stomach lurches, and it feels like the floor suddenly drops away. Next thing I know, my nose smacks hard into the back of Carl's head before I flip over, landing on my back in what feels like a sea of sharp rocks. I lay there for a second, dazed, staring at the black ocean above me, wondering if any of this is real. Am I still dreaming? Maybe I'll just wake up in my dorm, and probably late to my legal and ethical issues in journalism class. Fuck! Get up! A muffled voice breaks through my haze in confusion and pain. Then I'm being yanked back up as Carl pulls me to my feet and forcefully shoves me onto his back. Get up! I'm trying! I barely mumble through my numb mouth, which feels like it's full of pennies. I can see I'm making dark stains on the back of Carl's shirt. It feels like my face is caved in. I wonder if my nose is broken, but the fear of the pursuit is returning, and I quickly clutch at Carl's horns before he resumes his sprint. He finally comes to a stumbling halt in front of the massive bonfire which had looked so small from the cabin. We both stare up at it, the heat almost unbearable. The whispers behind me reach a crescendo, the hissing just over my shoulder. Shit! What are we supposed to do? My voice races in pitch as I look back behind us, the black shape now discernible in the firelight as it slithers around the rocks and sagebrush. It's like a person imitating a snake. Ooh, the fuck, that sounds horrifying. I grip onto Carl as he turns to face it, then takes a step back, then another. I don't fucking know! I cling to the ram, and I can feel him trembling underneath me. As the creature reaches the edge of the circle of firelight, Carl turns and starts running past the fire. Then my muscles seize up, my jaw clenches, my eyes roll backwards, and I feel myself falling. The heat is almost unbearable. My fur is damp from sweat, skin underneath it itching and uncomfortable. I can feel the sun on my face, the brightness turning the insides of my eyelids a dazzling red. Alright guys, I'm gonna save it right here. It looks like they're kind of out of danger for now, but my god, that sounded horrifying. Can you imagine a fucking human body Just imitating the movements of a snake? That sounds horrifying! Holy shit. Alright. Alright, okay. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks or a tip if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!